Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie, and today we are reading two new releases. First, we have How to Be Eaten by Maria Adelman. This was released May 31st. It is a fairy tale retelling about all the females and different stories. I think there's 5 women and they're all in a support group. And then we have You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This was released, I think, May 24th. And this is actually a romance. It's supposed to be messy. I don't know too much about it, so I'm very excited. Actually, I've read both of these at this point, so I was very excited to read it, and you will see what I think about them. I look a little scary, I'm sorry. But I've just started How to Be Eaten by Maria Adelman. Adelman, and it's a debut novel for this author. Previously, she released a collection of short stories, which I only found out about when I Googled her. So if I like this book, I definitely want to read that because I love short stories. And I can see how this book is going to give a short story kind of feel. There are like 5 main characters in this story. So the setup of the story is that it's basically the female characters in different fairy tales way after the incident happened. So we can tell right away that we have probably Little Red Riding Hood, we have Hansel and Gretel, and I think we have Beauty and the Beast. I don't know what the other 2 are, but they've all come together now because they're in some sort of trauma support group. And the guy that is moderating this support group is named Will. And I wonder if he's gonna be a wolf character, because right now he's very innocent and he seems very kind, but I feel like there's no way he can't have his own character. So the first chapter, it was them all meeting and us kind of getting an idea of the characters and the differences between them. And they all kind of are very distinct, or at least several of them are. And then I think every chapter after this is going to be each one's individual story. I feel like I'm really gonna like this story, or at least I feel like I'm going to really want to read it quickly because I want to find out who is who. Like, I've already established, we know who Little Red Riding Hood is. We know who Gretel is because her name is Gretel, but the others are kind of like iffy. One of them, Bernice, I think she's Beauty and the Beast, but the other 2, no idea, and I'm not gonna tell you because it's not apparent, and therefore it's probably a part of the story, like it wants to surprise you, so no more spoilers. Part of the blurb, it says, it's dark, edgy, and wickedly funny. This debut takes our coziest, most beloved childhood stories, exposes them as anti-feminist nightmares, and transforms them into a new kind of myth for grown-up women. And so that reminds me of The World's Wife. This is a collection of poetry by Carol Ann Duffy. This book, it was so good. I read it in college. I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing. So if this kind of sounds interesting, this kind of turning well-known stories and fairy tales on their heads from a feminist kind of point of view, and kind of makes them dark, even though, you know, fairy tales are dark to begin with, but it's from the female's perspective. You should definitely check this out. I actually just ordered it on Amazon because I don't know what happened to my copy. The other reason I think I'm going to like it is because when I read this book, I'll link that video up in this corner. One of my favorite parts of this novella was that it was being told to us in sort of a similar aspect. So it was the main character, Spence, was talking to us as if we were in this kind of support group setting. And so he was taking us away and telling us his story, but the entire time you're very much aware that you are sitting in the room with him. And so it kind of makes it feel a little more comfy because you know he's safe and you know he's here to tell the tale. So I feel like this might give it a similar vibe, but make it a little extra thrilling because I don't know the intent of this Will character. So I'm extremely excited to get started. We're starting with Bernice's story, and I think she is the Beauty and the Beast character, so we'll see. I feel like they're gonna have a lot to say about maybe Stockholm Syndrome and kidnapping, etc., etc. Okay, I'm on page 118. I have read 2 of the girls' stories, and I've had some sort of... There's something crawling up. We definitely have a little friend up in the attic. I don't think we have an attic. It sounds like it's scratching through the wall. This is uncomfortable. Anyway, there's been a sort of surprising turn of events that's definitely gonna unfold throughout. I like the stories of the girls. They're very dark, and there are some content warnings, so make sure to look those up if you're cognizant of that. Oh my gosh, I can't. Do you hear that? We don't have raccoons here, so it must be a little chicken or a bird or something. Yeah, I definitely like the gritty narration. It is sort of poetic, but it's very gritty. I just read Ruby's story, and she is like the Little Red Riding Hood character that was very obviously Little Red Riding Hood. And she is very abrasive as a character, so I feel like that really felt gritty and gross and grimy, but also very sad. Right now, if I had to rate it, like if we stopped right here, it would be a 5-star. I'm absolutely loving it. I don't want to put it down, but I have to work tomorrow very early. So there was something else I had to say. I don't know. I'm really liking it. It's the first book in a while, and I already thought I had a couple books that like I felt like I couldn't put down, but this is really like one that I just want to keep reading. And I feel like while I'm reading it, I'm not really thinking about it analytically. I'm just enjoying myself, and it's been a while since I've been able to read like that, so I love it. Hey guys, it's the next night and I just finished it. I still really liked it. I thought it was so fun, but also kind of raw, but it did feel a little less, I don't know. I never know when I start a book, because I get a certain feeling when I start a book and I really love it, as you've probably seen in many of my other videos. And then when I finish the book, it feels like, I can't tell if it's because I'm tired of the story, of the authors kind of just trying to wrap things up, or a mixture of both. I think it's probably more on my end. However, I really enjoyed reading this. At no point did I want to put it down. I was very excited to pick it back up today. I think there was a certain point, I feel like you could tell from maybe the second, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there was a plot twist in here. But you kind of knew ahead of time, at least. I feel like everyone should have picked up on this. I think they made it pretty apparent of what it was. However, I don't mind reading things while knowing the plot point is coming, because I'm not a plot-based reader. Like, I like seeing it unfold for the other people, and I like all the other things that a book brings to us besides plot, like character development, even the style of writing. But for a book that had a plot that was very much being told to us like before the twist, you know what I mean? It was very apparent and it was written so. I feel like they really played that part up, but then again, it had to come to a point at some point, so maybe I'm just rambling. I really did like this. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars though, and I can't really justify that, especially based on my earlier excitement and my overall enjoyment reading this book. I feel like my enjoyment in reading this was a 5-star. I really had a lot of fun. There was one of the girls that I have no idea what her story was. And I think I have an idea, which I will not say here because it could be a potential spoiler, but it also could be like a bunch of different stories melded together. I'm gonna look it up, but yeah, I had so much fun with this, and I'm so thankful for this book just because I feel like I haven't had much fun reading lately, and this was exactly that. And I think retellings really do that for me, especially when it is kind of in this mystery way, like, oh, who is this person? Who are we grabbing from here? Who are we getting inspired for this character? I feel like that was a lot of fun. But also, I think the writing was really beautiful. I had a lot to sticky note, and there were so many funny parts of this book. Ruby, she was just a little spitfire, and she was hilarious. I think my least favorite story might be Ashley, which I feel bad about because I feel like part of her story is that people underestimate her. But honestly, I just don't think I care about reality TV too much, which actually there was a lot of reality TV conversation in the latter half of this book. So maybe that is part of the reason why it dwindled a little bit in engagement for me. Not engagement, in maybe overall thoughts. I'm just rambling now. My favorite story, I certainly highlighted the most in the first story, and I wonder if that's just because I was so excited about this tone and this kind of grittiness, but also this kind of sadness, but also it was hilarious. But then I really love the grittiness of Ruby's story, and that was actually probably the saddest, even though she is kind of a frustrating character, but she's also like, I don't know. But then Gretel was pretty interesting. Raina, I don't know. One of the best things about this was just seeing the interactions between the different women because they were all so different. That was really entertaining. So yeah, I definitely want to check out Maria Adelman's short story collection, which is called Girls of a Certain Age. I'm going to order that because I'm very excited to read more of this author. Also, just a question, if any of you are still watching, I remember in middle school or high school, I read this entire collection of only Rumpelstiltskin retellings. Like the entire book was just a different version of that story, and I can never find it. I have no recollection of the name of it or what. I got it from the library like in middle school or high school. So if any of you know what I'm talking about, even if you don't know the name, please let me know I'm not crazy. Was that a thing? Hi, it's the same night. I'm supposed to be sleeping right now, but instead I've started my next book. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi, and I'm already hooked. First of all, I really didn't know much going in. All I knew about it was that it was about a woman who had lost her husband 5 years ago, and now she was putting herself out there, and that this was gonna be super messy and a little taboo. And wow, we start off with a bang. Literally. The first sentence is, Milan was the first person Faye had fucked since the accident. So yes, very sexy and very beautifully written. And it's interesting after just having read this because there are some lines about how these men are kind of approaching her like they're hunting her. And so that imagery was really interesting, especially after having just read that book. But yeah, there's been some lines that I literally am just like captured by just because of the placement of the words, and yeah, impressing me just with the writing alone. But also there are a couple things that hit a little too close to home, a couple of her lines. So it was like a visceral, like, oh shit, this book might be for me, which is concerning. And I am not going to elaborate. I can already see how this can be messy. However, I just started the first sentence of chapter 3. So it's moving very quickly and it's weaving the timeline very casually, and I like that. I feel like that is actually something that shows how good a writer is, or maybe just a writing that I am really drawn to, is how the author deals with time in a storytelling way. So like, I really struggle with stories that can't move on quick enough. So when I talked about From Lukov with Love and also The Spanish Love Deception, it was something that was really irritating to me because it was like the author didn't know how to move on and transition from one scene to the next. It was like she was just writing scenes and then kind of struggling with the transition between. However, my favorite writers, they don't even stay in a scene very long. They kind of weave in memory and in flashbacks or into the future, or the narrator's talking ahead. It's like going back and forth, and I think that it might just be a personal preference, and I feel like I really find it beautiful as a writing style. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading a little bit more even though it is very late. But I have to say, I've already teared up within the first 2 chapters, but I think that is entirely personal because it's not really that sad. Okay, I'm gonna call it a night. I just finished chapter 4, and I feel like there was a little bit of insta love. So I'm interested to see how this continues. Nasir seems too good to be true. Like, he's gonna be a serial killer for sure, right? Okay. Yeah, this is definitely going to get messy. I was not expecting that. No spoils, because you're gonna have to read this. But first of all, Faye and Joy's relationship, it's so fun just listening to their conversations and just their interactions between each other, because they are hilarious, but they're also like, they hype each other up, and it feels like a real friendship. But Joy just said to Faye, well, now you're just being messy. And I feel like that is just a description of the book and the tone it's about to take. Because yes, I didn't realize there was a kind of vacation aspect in this book, and I'm wondering how long that goes on, but I'm guessing it's gonna be a little while. Okay guys, I am on board for this mess. She's in the kitchen. Oh, I don't want to spoil this, but my God, something just happened. If you know, you know, but it was like some sort of orange meringue. Guys, Faye is getting a cooking lesson, and I realized that the scenes that I'm freaking out about are related to food, so I might have a fetish. The amount of exclamation points I've just drawn all throughout this book, or at least through the last 4 or 5 chapters. You know what I blame for this cooking sort of excitement? Is that scene in Failure to Launch where Matthew McConaughey is cooking dinner for his parents and Sarah Jessica Parker. I think that did it for me. But this is like 10 times better. Okay, you might want to skip ahead just a little tiny bit. I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you want to go in knowing nothing, I am going to vaguely maybe talk about romance tropes in here that might, alert you to something that's going to happen. So I am all for this, the main event, if you know what I mean, like the main. And it felt like it was really going well. Like it was a little quick, but I understand when you're immediately attracted to someone. And I was buying into that, and they were really like building this tension up, and even the emotional tension, not just the physical tension. But all of a sudden, I'm seeing something that I don't like, and it's a little bit, I'm like taken out of the story. So there's been a kiss, however, now it's like, I will drop my whole life and move to a different city for you. Like, not only is that just not believable, but it's uncomfortable. When you think about how little time they've known each other and that this is kind of a vacation, this kind of rush I'm not buying it. Like, I get the rush of like caring and potential and of tension, but not of like life-changing decisions happening this quickly. Still very much enjoying it though. Okay, wow. I just took a shower, so sorry. I look so bad in this whole vlog. I just finished it, and wow. What a book. I've been on a journey, I must say. Obviously, the second half isn't as exciting as the first half because the first half is setting up this mess, obviously, and, getting really messy just in general. And then the second half is kind of dealing with the consequences of getting yourself into this mess. And that is not as fun as getting into a mess. So naturally, the first half was like just banging, and the last half was kind of like, plus there was a lot more, there was emotion in the first half. Like, obviously our main character is dealing with grief, and a lot of other characters actually are dealing with grief. And so there is that kind of heaviness or that kind of emotion that is there in the beginning of the book. So it actually makes it an easier transition into the second half where things are very much more emotional. But there was a lot of like declarations, which, for fan service, declarations are fun. But when there's too many of them, I am just kind of more cynical than the average person, or maybe the average person reading romance novels. So it does kind of make me feel uncomfy when there's too many declarations. But I feel like that wasn't even that bad in here. Like, it made sense, and it was kind of like the only thing that I really it is kind of unbelievable. Like that, again, you might want to skip to the end of this. Actually, just skip the rest of this if you don't want any spoilers. I'm not going to do any like direct spoilers, but I'm going to vaguely talk about just love and romance as a, plot and storylines. I'm just like all over the place. What was I saying? I was about to spoil something, but now I can't even remember. Hold on. Okay, yeah, so I was saying that it was mostly unbelievable in the fact that someone would fall in love this fast, which is kind of something that I have to deal with on my own in every romance novel. The thing that was good about this is that they do kind of admit that, like, this is crazy. Is this just in this bubble? We need to figure out how this works outside of it. And I loved exactly where it ended. I think that was good. So all of this so far that I'm just like, that things that would bother me are explained and, reasons with and discussed. So I like that. The only thing now is that it did feel like a little bit of we need a reason to kind of question this, like a back and forth, like a will they, won't they almost. What I'm trying to say, since we're already kind of in a spoiler section, so like I said previously, they were like ready to commit their lives to each other and ruin their lives in order to be together. And like, I'll move anywhere you are. And then in the last like 4 or 5 pages, there's like this twist, and it's like someone says, oh, you're in love with them, and it's somehow shocking to the main character, and it's like, you were willing to like sacrifice your whole life. What did you think was happening? So that kind of like revelation of, oh my god, I'm in love with them, that felt a little not very genuine. But overall, I had so much fucking fun with this book. Those kitchen scenes, I didn't know that's what I needed in my life. Now I'm going to be looking for that in romance novels, or just, you know, just people in the kitchen feeling spicy and in love, and oh, that's so fun. Which is really annoying because whenever a romance novel says that there's like baking or like cooking involved, I'm like, no. Mostly because it's like a reality television cooking show that they're on, which is funny because he's on a reality TV cooking show. Anyway, I think I have to give this 4 stars because of how much intrigue I had, and I was tearing up in the beginning, and I think that might have been just my emotional state at the time. However, just the thoughts of grief and some other personal things that I have in common, it really hit me, and I really did love Akwaeke Emezi's writing. Also, Akwaeke's pronouns are they, them, so my apologies if I did not use that correctly. But they say in their note, their acknowledgement, that this is my 7th book in my 5th genre. Now I know that they've had Bitter and Pet. That's what I've seen people rave about, and I think that's young adult. So I definitely want to check those out. I think Pet is like the prequel to Bitter, or, you know, vice versa. Akwaeke also has a book of poetry, so I definitely want to do some research on the rest of their stuff. But yeah, so much fun, so much mess, but it was weirdly not stressful. Like, usually I avoid stories where there's so much conflict because I cannot handle it. I'm a fragile little flower. Ew. Not really, but it's just like, I don't want to spend my time being stressed out. However, there was no amount of stress in this, even though there were like things happening. And I think the fact that so many characters have experienced grief and the loss of lives, that they know that like they should live, you know, in the moment, and, you know, grab whatever opportunity you can and just hold on to it. There were a couple times where our main character, Faye, she said a couple things to some people that maybe she should have waited to say. I'm just saying. And when she started drinking at that kind of dinner party scene, I was worried. I was like, oh shit, this is the stress I was avoiding. But it was fine. It was fine. It was all fine. Anyway, yeah. Wow. What a wild time. All right, guys, that's it. I had such a lovely time. I have 2 new 4-star ratings, and I feel like I found out a lot about what I like in these. I really like retellings. I already knew that, but I feel like this has really clarified it, because I thought maybe it was just like a 1-off or 2-off, like every now and then, just having fun, reminiscing and nostalgic stories. But wow, no, I think it's like actually something that I want to explore further. I also did get Girls of a Certain Age. This is by the same author. I can't wait to see what this is for. Plus, this is very much a mood. And even the binding is just like, it's giving me summer lemonade. If you happen to like How to Be Eaten, but you want something a little grittier, maybe a little angrier, I would definitely pick up this work of poetry. It's called The World's Wife, like I was talking about earlier. It's by Carol Ann Duffy. It's very slim, very easy to get through. I mean, some of the poems are better than others, but it's very kind of like angry. And then, wow, what I found out about this is that I am down for, you know, love interests that can cook. That is one of my things now. I'm looking at Akwaeke Emezi's other books right now, because there's so many genres that they've written in. I'm trying to figure out where to start, but I think I want to start with Pet, just because I've heard about this. I actually don't know what it's about, but I've heard about it. Not sure how that works, but it's true. So yeah, a very successful couple of days, and thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodaloo. Sorry, I'm awkward.